Hey, Pete Shaw here from Barnsley Barbell. I am back with another little live video for you today. And today I want to talk about a topic that's a little bit different to what we spoke about the last few of these videos that we've done here. Today is a little bit more practical, shall we say. It's a little bit more step by step to get you a specific result. Because let's be honest, summer is around the corner. We're coming up to the end of April. Maybe you've got some holidays coming up in May, June, July, whenever it is, right? And you sat there thinking, I actually, need to get a move on. I want to get in shape. I want to get bikini body ready. Or maybe you've got a beach holiday. Or maybe you just want to get back to feeling good for the summer months. I want to give you some practical steps that you can take starting today to start making that happen for you. Doesn't matter what's worked in the past. Doesn't matter if you've never quite been able to achieve the result that you want. I want to give you something practical to start working with. There's two things that I want to mention before I do though. Don't know why I'm getting the pen out and pointing it at you. The first one is that this time of year, it's the time of year where people start to work on their summer body, right? They kind of think, I need to get a diet going. I need to start a diet. I need to get moving. I need to lose some weight. I need to start, fitting back into my clothes. I need to. And one thing that I reminded our team of last week is that you don't need to do anything. If you're watching this and you're actually pretty damn happy with who you are and how you are, how you look, how you feel, and you're content with yourself, then who's to say just because everyone else is rushing around, starting a diet, starting the gym, starting to get results, that you have to do the same? I think that kind of self-love and self-compassion is the first step. So, if right now you're happy with yourself, keep scrolling. Don't watch this video anymore unless you want to listen to what I've got to share, and maybe you can, improve what you're already doing. But there is no pressure for you to have to change who you are. Who you are is already enough, right? I think that's where it starts from. And if you do decide to watch this and take action from a place of self-love, from, loving yourself enough to want to improve rather than hating yourself so much that you have to change. There is such a different energy there. Doing this out of a place of hating how you look versus I love myself enough to make some positive changes. The second thing I want to mention is that the most practical step that you could take today, if you are someone who lives in the Barnsley area looking to lose weight, tone up, get in shape, rebuild your confidence, have more energy, fit into the clothes that you love wearing, and just ultimately feel your best, I would go as far as to say the practical step that you can take is to join our 6-week transformation challenge starting next week. Now, if you want details on that without the hard sales pitch that follows, comment 6 weeks below. I'll send you the timetable, you get how it works, and I will literally show you the proven path that over 1,000 people have followed now to get incredible life-changing results, and we'd love to have you join us. Now, let's get into some practical steps that you can take to actually get some results going for you. The first thing that you've got to do is you've got to set a goal. And with that goal, you've got to have clarity. I'm not going to get into smart goal setting that you'll have seen before and you'll have read about in textbooks. My thing for you is to make sure you have something to work towards that you give a shit about, right? That you care about. If you've got a goal that's like, I want to lose weight, I want to feel better, right? You've probably set I want to lose weight as a goal for years. It's probably boring you to tears by now. That's probably why you've not achieved it. Not only is it boring for most people, I want to lose weight, and it's something that you've done before, you probably don't get that excited by it. If anything, it might bring out more negative connotations. And also, it's not very clear. How much weight do you want to lose, right? Is it weight that you want to lose, or is it how your body looks? Do you really just want to tone up? Do you want to build strength, right? Do you want to change the shape of your body, right? So a lot of the time, I want to lose weight. It just doesn't get us firing on all cylinders. Puts us to sleep. Get excited about a goal that really gets you out of your comfort zone and pushes you and scares you. And I get it. If you've failed a lot of times in the past, you've tried everything and nothing's worked, setting a goal might feel like you're setting yourself up to failure. It's at that point where if you have tried everything, nothing's worked, get support and stop going it alone. So step one is to actually have a goal that you give a shit about and that excites you and gets you out of bed. The second step is to make it fun and enjoyable. If you hate running, why on this earth would you set your, weight loss goal as going running? Let's imagine that you've got really bad knees, or you've got bad hips, or you get lower back pain from running, right? But you've got this mentality of, if I want to get in shape, I've got to run. You're going to absolutely hate every single second of doing it. that you're probably not going to keep it up. And if you do, once you've lost the weight, you'll definitely gain it back because you'll stop running and you'll stop doing the things that helped in the first place. So make sure you make it fun and enjoyable. How do we do that? Join a fitness class that is actually filled with good people where you have a little bit of laugh, a little bit of banter and some hard work, right? You've got that in abundance at Barnsley Barbell. You might find that at your local leisure centre. You might have been part of a class in the past that you've absolutely loved. Get involved with it. Maybe you're not interested in weights and doing a sweaty boot camp workout. Maybe you want to do Reformer Pilates. That's a hard workout. I've done it myself. Go join Reformer Pilates. But ultimately, choose something that you enjoy. Now, I do a lot of sessions in my training that I don't enjoy, right? But I get a lot of fulfillment from it. I enjoy the result. I enjoy the people I'm around. So don't confuse hard work with enjoyment. I can do some very hard workouts and enjoy them because of who I'm with, the way I'm doing it, and the results I'm getting. Just make sure you're not doing something that is hard and that you hate to the point that you want to quit. The third thing is keep your diet simple. In fact, don't even use the word diet. Telling your friends that you're going on a diet, that's only going to conjure up conversations between yourselves around how many diets have you tried in the past and failed. You know that you can't stick to diets, the shitty banter that you have between yourselves that is actually really not supporting you in any way, shape or form. And actually, I think most people have a really negative relationship to the word diet. I think diet feels restrictive. Diet feels like you are cutting out all the favourite foods in your life. Instead, this is a lifestyle shift. You're just eating foods to fill you. Right? Go on pinchofnom.com or go and find a nice healthy recipe book. If you want one sending, let me know and I'll send it to you for free. Right? Work out how many calories you need to eat a day to lose weight. Plan your meals for the next 7 days and crack on. Eat foods that you enjoy. Have a Freddo every day if you like. If your favourite food's a takeaway on a weekend, have it. Right? Factor it in, plan it in. Most people, they think that diet means eating rabbit food and having chicken salads for lunch every day, right? And living off protein shakes and all that. No, that's not what it is. It's about things in moderation, but it's about having structure. I sent an email this morning, this idea, or it was a post that I wrote for a reel, that discipline creates freedom. When you've got structure, boundaries and discipline around your approach to nutrition, and I'm not saying you discipline yourself so you cut out all your favourite foods, not at all. But when you have rules in place and you have ways in which you approach your nutrition where it makes it enjoyable. So imagine eating foods that you actually enjoy and you eat in a way that makes you feel full. So it stops the cravings and the snacking that always ruins your progress. And ultimately you feel fueled so you've got energy and you've got no mental fog, right? You've got energy to work out. You sleep better as a result of the foods that you're eating. All of a sudden it's like, oh my God, this is really simple. A lot of people don't like calorie counting. That's fine. Go and actually sit down though and plan some meals out for the week. Meals that you enjoy eating. Be experimentative, if that's a word. It is now anyway. Right? Be experimentative. Go and experiment with foods and try different recipes and find what you love, find what you like, find what you don't. Fourth step is to track progress. Let me ask you a question. If you aren't tracking progress, how do you know you're making any? You don't. So you base it off of feelings. Oh, I feel like I'm making progress. I feel like I'm losing weight. I feel better. Someone told me that I look like I'm losing weight. Here's what you need. Data. It's boring, right? Take your measurements, take photos, take your weight on the scales. I don't really trust the weight on the scales. It doesn't tell you all that you need to know. Put it this way, look, if you lose 5 pounds of fat and gain 5 pounds of muscle, you've lost 0 on the scales, but your body shape's changed, yet you're going to allow the number on the scales to dictate the way that you feel, and often the way that we feel dictates our behaviours and actions, which ultimately dictate our results. Right? Go off of photos, go off the way that your clothes fit you, go off of your mood, your energy, how you're feeling in yourself. One of the things that we have you do when you join our 6-week program is we have you rate 10 areas of your life out of 10 and score yourself out of 100. That's a more holistic approach to health and well-being. When you start looking at things like how well do I sleep? How's my discipline? How's my mental health? How's this? How's that? When you start looking at things beyond just the scales, what you start to do is you start to measure progress in a way that allows you to see that you are making progress. Because if you can't see you're making progress, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to self-sabotage. You're going to throw the towel in. That's why you keep going back to square one. Not because you're not making any progress, but because the way you are tracking it is wrong. You're basically using the wrong ruler. You're using the wrong tape measure, right? And I mean that metaphorically speaking, I don't mean that physically. You know, you've got to ensure that you are tracking various different methods and ways of seeing progress, okay? Like if you are into running, right? A great way to see if you're getting better at running is to see how fast you can run a 5K in, or how far you can run in an hour, or how far you can run before you have to stop, right? They're all different ways of measuring progress that don't involve the scales. So make sure you do that. The sixth thing is to celebrate the small wins along the way. Don't just celebrate outcomes, celebrate actions. What do I mean by that? Rather than just celebrating when you lose the stone or when you drop the dress size or when you run the 5K, celebrate the fact that you showed up 3 times to the gym this week when you didn't want to show up. Celebrate the fact that you didn't order a takeaway when everyone else in your family wanted to order one, and instead you made a homemade, healthy, fake away instead. Celebrate the fact that your mate said, hey, do you want to go and get smashed tonight? And you said, actually, I'm on this new mission. I'm on this new venture where I'm, creating and bringing this better version of me to the world. And you say no to them. And you say, hey, but I'd love to meet up with you. Let's go for a walk and a coffee. Right? Celebrate your progress along the way. The next thing is to never miss twice. Never miss twice. So yeah, when you're eating, right? And you have a meal and you go, oh shit, I had a sandwich for lunch. I had no fruit and veg in that. That's fine. Just make sure your next meal has vegetables in. You didn't go to the gym today. That's fine. Go to the gym tomorrow. You missed out on your lunchtime walk because you had to take a call or do a Zoom meeting. Fine. Just don't miss your lunchtime walk tomorrow. You didn't drink your 2 liters of water today. That's okay. Just make sure you drink your 2 liters of water tomorrow. So many people beat themselves up, knock themselves off track and end up spiraling downhill faster than you've ever seen before, not because they are incapable, not because they don't know what they're doing, is because that they are expecting themselves to be perfect. Stop aiming for perfection and aim for progress instead. Okay, never miss twice has been an absolute game changer for me. So if I have a meal that's off plan, if I have a meal that's a grab and go, just make sure the next one isn't. A lot of the time it's planning in advance that we need to do, right? As long as you can plan in advance, you're winning. All right, so that was number 6. Number 7 is do it with a friend or find someone to support you. It can be a very lonely journey sticking to this for a long period of time. You're going to have friends, family, your nearest and dearest trying to pull you off track, trying to pull you down. Maybe it's because they're jealous of the results that you're creating. Maybe it's because they can't quite stay consistent and they hate seeing you stay consistent because it makes them feel bad. Maybe it's just because at the end of the day, if you keep saying to your partner, I don't want to have a takeaway, I'm going to go to the gym tonight. That means that those little magic moments that you spend together enjoying that takeaway, watching your favourite film or chilling out together on a Friday night, if you remove that because you're no longer having a takeaway, what that can often do is it can remove that time that you spend together. If you're out in the gym or getting your steps in or walking, what we can sometimes do is we can actually forget about the impact that it has on that other person. And yeah, that's not about putting everyone else before us. I'm a big believer that you should put yourself and your goals and your health and your mental health first, 100%. Right? But a lot of the time, sometimes when we don't get support from friends or family, sometimes it's because we aren't quite supporting them. We've kind of forgot about them in pursuit of our own excellence. The 8th thing that I want to share with you, the last point, is just to keep the momentum going. All right? If you want to get in shape for summer, if you really want to feel good physically, mentally, emotionally, on every possible way that you could feel good, is keep momentum. The hardest thing about riding a bike is not actually pedaling along on flat. The hardest thing about riding a bike is once you've fallen off the bike and you've got to get out the nettles and you've got to pull the bike back up, you've got to dust yourself up, you've got to climb back on the bike, you've got to climb through the slow gears, gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, gear 4, all the way up to speed again, right? If you want to go far, you can go slow, but just don't stop. And that's easier said than done when you're in there day in, day out. You're facing the challenges. You're not seeing the progress. You're doubting yourself. You're overwhelmed. You're underwhelmed. You're looking in the mirror and nothing's changing. That's where you need people to reflect back to you how well you're doing. That's where I would recommend that every single night you write down 3 positives from your day, 3 action steps that you took that moved you forward, 3 things that you did today that showed that you are becoming the person that you want to be. Because that's what this is really about. This isn't about you losing weight and getting in shape. It's about becoming the kind of person that is in shape, that takes care of themselves, that prioritizes their health and fitness. That's what all of this is about. That's what goals are for. Goals are never about achieving the goal. Goals are about you striving to become the kind of person that would have achieved that goal, that would obtain that particular result. Because at the end of the day, when you get to that result, there's always going to be another goal that follows. There's always going to be something else off in the future that you want to work towards. The key is you voting through your day-to-day actions, voting for the person you want to become. Right? So I'll leave you with this idea. Imagine you've got, right? Imagine these are two little boxes, right, in like the voting booth, right? Do you know when you do like the elections and all that stuff? Let's not get political, but when you have the elections and you have to like vote in different boxes, like I want you to imagine that this right here is the current you, the current version of you, whatever that is, your current level of health, your current level of fitness, your current level of energy, whatever it is, the way that your clothes fit you or don't fit you, your confidence or the lack of confidence, whatever it is, that's the current you. And this is the future you, the you that you want to bring to the table, right? The you that's literally spilling over with energy, that's full of confidence, that wears the clothes that you want to wear, that doesn't get out of breath easily, that actually feels incredible in their own skin, that's become toned, that's built muscle, that is so proud of their progress, right? Whatever that is, maybe it's you on holiday looking and feeling your best, all right? Maybe it's you showing up in social situations, actually just being able to be yourself and be in the moment. Whatever it is, right? This is the future you. And every single time you are faced with an action or a decision to make that comes to an action, you're putting a vote in one of these boxes. When someone says to you, hey, Pete, do you want to get a takeaway tonight? I'm either voting for the me that I am now or the future me. Hey, Pete, I know you've got the gym booked tonight, but do you fancy going out for a few drinks instead? I can vote for the old me or the new me. Hey, Pete, I'm thinking of doing this on the weekend. Yeah, I know you were meant to be doing that Tough Mudder. I can vote for the old me or the new me. And ultimately, every single decision that you make is taking you closer to this person, or it's taking you further away and it's keeping you where you are. Now, there isn't a approach here that is right or wrong, right? I'm not saying that you should be all in on this person. There will be invitations that you get from friends and family that you absolutely want to go for, right? Barbecues, nights out, meals out, weekends away, holidays. Absolutely put the vote in that box. That's not saying that you're going to be stuck, and that's not saying you don't want it hard enough, and that's not saying that, you're not willing to work. That's just saying, actually, like, this version of me, at times, I'm actually quite happy with doing what I already do. But here's the beauty, right? Getting to this concept that this version of you can do all the stuff that this version of you's already done. And what I mean by that is when someone says, hey, do you want to go out tonight and have a few drinks? You don't have to go, oh, do I want to be the perfect me that's toned, that's sculpted, that's in shape, that's strong, that's fit, that's lean? Or do I want to stay as the version of me right now that's overweight, clothes don't fit, no confidence, etc., etc.? That's not really what it's about. Because you could argue that the version of you that's already in shape, that is lean, that's toned up, that's living the best life, that's got tons of energy, that's super strong, or whatever your goals are. I always just use weight loss because it's easy to, it's easy to understand, right? But that version of you might be going out with your friends and family, right? But understand this, they might go out with friends and family, but instead of 10 drinks, they might have 4. Instead of sinking 10 pints of Guinness, they might have, 4 or 5 vodka diet mixers. Instead of having a kebab at the end of the night, this version of you might go out, right, but then go to bed without eating the 2,000 calorie kebab. That version of you gets up the day after the night out and goes for a walk first thing, or even books a gym session and shows up for that instead of having a lie-in and having an full English fry-up, right, and then feeling terrible all day staying on the sofa. So understand that it's not about saying yes or no to life, yes or no to opportunity. It's about the version of you that shows up in those moments, in those occasions, in those events, in those parties that you get invited to, those nights out, those meals out. Are you going to show up as the you to the meal out that binges out and eats every single thing on the menu? Or are you going to show up as a version of you that's already ate a good amount of food throughout the day? You've not starved yourself. You've kept hydrated. You're going to enjoy the food with your friends and family. You're going to understand that one of the most important things about going out with friends and family is not always about the food that you eat, but the people that you spend time with and the company that you hold, right? And ultimately, that version of you can have it all, but you just show up in a different way. So anyway, that's all I've got for you today. All I've got, he says, gone on about it for about 20 minutes. But was that helpful? Hit the thumbs up. Let me know if it was helpful. If it wasn't helpful, let me know. What part do you feel like wasn't helpful? What point that I made do you feel like wasn't clear enough? What point did I make that made you think, actually, Pete, I don't really think that's healthy. I don't really think that's going to support anyone in terms of getting in shape, losing weight, all of that good stuff. But ultimately, what you've got to understand is that if you aren't enjoying this journey, you are not going to stick to it, or the outcome's just not going to be fun. There's a coach of mine, Paul Morton, he would always say there's no happy ending to an unhappy journey. So if you've got to literally force your way through every single day, every single meal, you're going to bed hungry, you hate the exercise, you hate every single waking moment, striving to reach your goal, I'm going to tell you that when you reach your goal, it will be fruitless, it will be empty, and it won't stick around. Why? Because you've not really become the kind of person that would hold that goal. Like if I want to be someone, right? And again, it's a shit example. It's not a shit example, but it's just an example that everyone can get. Let's imagine that I want to be ripped with a six-pack for summer, and all I do between now and then is do 50,000 steps a day. I eat 1,000 calories. I do water fasts. I don't really actually take care of my health and wellness. I just absolutely slog away in the gym, do 1,000,001 training sessions, don't eat any food. I'm going to get a six-pack in a relatively short period of time. But let me tell you something else. That will not be enjoyable, and it will not be sustainable. And that's the word that you've really got to hammer home. Is this sustainable? Can I see myself doing this for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months? And most people switch off at this point. They're like, boring. I just want to be in shape for my holiday and I don't care. And it's like, look, if you take this new approach, you will never have to get in shape for your holiday because you'll just be naturally in shape because it's who you'll be. How much easier would it be if you were just the person that was in shape? Not because it's a goal that you've set that you've got to strive towards and work towards and reach and toil for, but because it's just who you are. How much easier would life be if you just shifted who you are rather than all of the things that you have to do? When you become the person that's in shape, you just naturally do the things that keep you in shape. You naturally just train at the gym. You naturally just choose the healthier options. And this might sound crazy, but I used to look and think that's impossible. There is no way I could live as the healthy person that chooses the healthier options. But when you start living it, when you start to feel the genuine shift that you have in your life through having more energy, having more confidence, wearing what you want when you want, taking your shirt off at the beach or wearing the clothes that you want round the pool, right? When you can just show up confidently as yourself, when you sleep well, when you've got clarity of mind, when your mental health is on point, when you just feel so good in your own skin, you start wanting to live that life every day. And instead of it being like a little short-term, quick fix diet fad that you follow, it becomes a way of living. But that comes from an identity shift. It comes from consistently voting for that version of you. And one of the best ways that you can do that and ensure it happens and that it sticks is to change your environment, is to get around people where it's just natural to be in shape. Why? Because you're going to pick up their energy. You're going to pick up inspiration from them. You're going to pick up their habits. You're going to pick up their ways of action, their levels of consistency, determination, discipline, right? Because you're around that, because that's the standard. You're here and that standard pulls you up. And because you're around people that are naturally just healthy and take care of themselves, you start naturally being healthy and taking care of yourself. One of the best things that you can do is get around people that are already living that life. And one of the best places I know, I am very biased towards it, is Barnsley Barbell. Now, you might find your own version of Barnsley Barbell wherever it is that you live or wherever it is that you're looking for. I've mentioned earlier, maybe it's Reformer Pilates. Maybe you want something really, super intense. Maybe you want to go more down the calisthenics route. Maybe you want to take up swimming or paddle or squash or spin class or aqua aerobics. Wherever it is, find not only your own form of exercise, but your own people that will lift you up, that will positively impact you and will inspire you every day to be a better version of you. When you find that, everything else is easier. All the knowledge that you already have, that you do, the experience that you've had, which you've had, and ultimately all the things that you are ready to quite literally hit the start button on, that right now you're putting off and you're procrastinating on, or you've got a little bit of doubt or fear because you failed in the past. I get it. It's not always as easy as just go and do the thing. They're all waiting to be activated when you get around the right environment, the right people, and the right support. So if you're interested in joining us or you want to find out more, comment the word 6 weeks below. If you've got zero interest, then I really hope these 8 or so points and my little analogies and ways of explaining things have helped you take that first step to feeling your absolute best for summer 2026. Because let's be honest, it is right around the corner. Anyway, I really appreciate you tuning in, checking out what I've got to say, listening to me ramble on for however long we've been talking. I really hope you have an incredible day. If there's any questions that you have, I always say, look, I'm not a salesman. If I feel like you're a good fit for what we offer, then I'll tell you more about it. The only person that can decide, though, whether you actually jump on board on this and take that next step or not is you. And I am not one for forcing anyone on and trying to twist any arms. Because at the end of the day, you know, if you reach out and you're like, Pete, can I have a copy of the timetable? And I go, here's the timetable. And I go, what other questions have you got? And you go, I don't have any other questions. Okay, great. You don't have any other questions. I'm not gonna say, hey, where's the what's the 16 digits on your card? Let's get you signed up. I've got zero interest in that. I only want people training with the Barnsley Barbell that literally are almost hammering down the door to come train with us. They're the kind of people that we want. They're the kind of people that we have. And if you are one of those people and you're someone that's passionate about, you know, feeling better, taking care of yourself, putting yourself first and helping others along the way, we'd love to hear from you. Aside from that, have an incredible day. Have a blessed week. I have never said that in my entire life, a blessed week, but I've just said it, so have one. And I will catch you in the next video sometime, whenever that is.